Now let's talk about technology, how technology is helping
Yeah.
conservation biology in your field.
I think in the past decade, or I think even before that, there has been a very like advent of technology used in primatology, especially I think machine learning. A lot of AI tools are being used to understand data sets, huge
You guys are
data sets.
catching up so fast.
Yeah. There is this professor from Ohio State University whose talk I attended, and she's doing an excellent work with using machine learning to understand for conservation. So she's trying to use AI or algorithms to
Predict the behavior.
predict the presence, the population density
Okay.
estimation of different species across the world: whales, sharks, dolphins, primates in Africa, and many species. And she's getting a lot of data
Got it.
from different. She's doing an excellent work with collaboration. So she's working with scientists from Europe, Africa,
From different fields.
yeah, and getting data sets from all of them, and she's working collaboratively. And
Wow.
yeah, so I mean, even I didn't know much about the use of machine learning, but listening to her talk and some of her work. So another work that they're doing, very interesting work with baboons.
Okay.
What they're trying. So this is a collaborative work with I think another scientist from Max Planck Institute in Germany. Yeah, and what they're doing is they're trying to understand movement ecology of baboons. So baboons, they're groups, I think 50, 60 individuals or more than that, okay, in one group. So throughout the day, they have to go in search of food, right? And in Africa, it's savannas, right? Like savanna, it's grasslands and all. So they travel and then they start splitting. Groups will split. And so they have, the collaborators, they've actually radio collared individuals.
Okay.
They're radio collars, so they can track their movement. They can track their body temperature. They can track, spatial positions of them. So this scientist from my university, she's collecting all of that data and modeling it. She's modeling it, to predict the movement,
Of
where they will
migration.
go, yeah,
Okay.
or what what habitat is suitable for them, what is not suitable for them. So all that. So you can come up with different models based on the information that you're getting from.
In the same way, can we do the same modeling? Does it work on elephant migration?
Yeah.
There's a big problem in Assam and in Karnataka.
Yeah. But then you have to like tag them, which can be it's a big animal, right? It's a huge animal. So, but I think they have tried to track some individuals. They do.
Have you seen the usage of drones or satellites for this?
Yeah. So again, not in India. For they're using drones to capture where the presence of individual and all of that. But for primate studies, as of I know, in India they haven't used drones for primate studies. In Indonesia, on orangutans, they're actually using drones to understand where they're going, the behavior of orangutans. And I think that's a very good technology to use. But again, not every place will allow you to use drones and, the habitat. If it's a very
Noisy.
thick forest, it's a very, dense forest, right? Drones will not have that, they won't be able to move through the forest.
Any other technologies you can recall?
Yeah, camera traps. That has been in use for quite some time. And radio collaring, radio telemetry. So yeah, I think these are the basic technologies. I mean, most technologies that I can think of that are in use now. And just to add to that, like for behavioral sampling, we're also using tabs. Like so, we used tabs, and there are softwares where we can actually collect behavioral data instead of using a pen and paper, just to make our life a little easier.
Okay.
Because otherwise, the conventional way is using a pen and paper.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. You may
and then
miss
you have
the key
to
moments.
decode it, and you have to sit and put it in Excel sheet and then analyze and all. So this, using tabs and the software, you can directly export the data into an Excel. It'll come on the Excel.
Very efficient.
Yeah, very efficient. So there are different ways you can.
Do the villages use any kind of social media to cope with the conflict, or how do they communicate with the officials? Like, what
Right.
is the response thing?
So in Valparai, so Valparai is in Tamil Nadu. It is near Coimbatore. That's the closest town I can think of. So Valparai is again it's within the Anamalai Tiger Reserve, and it is in higher elevation. There is a huge elephant conflict, but which has reduced over the past few years because of the efforts of the other organization that I should have mentioned is Nature Conservation Foundation.
Okay.
Yeah, Nature Conservation, because they're working actively in this place. I should have remembered. So they have been doing a very good job. So they have instilled these alert systems where if they know, it's kind of like, I don't know how it works. I'm very bad with the technology that is being used, and I don't think I can explain it. But there is some kind of a system where movement sensor or something, right? If an elephant passes through it, it will send radio signals to people on the phone that there's an elephant there in this location, right? So I think it's based on the GPS
Got
and I don't know. And then they've actually formed an alert system in that town, in Valparai.
Loudspeakers or something?
No, through mobile phones. They'll get messages,
Instantly.
SMSs, saying, okay, the elephant is in this estate. So people do not go there
Got it.
to avoid that conflict. So this is a very good, so all people, local people, they have their mobiles registered to this system. So everyone will get an alert message.
This will really help for those, like, I think lots of human deaths happen when they encounter the elephant on the road.
Yes.
So if they get the SMS, they can, prevent passing through the road. Wow.
So it has worked in Valparai. So the number of human deaths and elephant also hasn't happened in a very long time.
Okay, in Valparai.
Yeah. So this is like a successful thing.
Okay, it's a case study that too should be replicated around
elsewhere.
India. I'm sure this video would be watched by some engineering students,
Right.
who want to collaborate and help for cause like yours.
Yeah.
But that's a problem. Like they don't know whom to meet, and but since now you're here,
Right.
tell us about what technologies you need in India for your work,
Right.
so they can connect with you
Yeah.
and build something for conservation thing in mind.
So there is a huge scope, I think, for technology, for being used in our field. In the sense, so AI, you can use different algorithms, because I think engineering students they learn about machine learning. They learn about artificial intelligence and how that actually can be used to analyze or model these huge data sets that we generate from our field work, right? And work with us together to come up with models to see what works, what doesn't work, and that can actually be implemented on ground. So that is a huge thing that we have to work together. So as I was mentioning to you about the scientist who works in my university, her students are all engineers.
Wow.
And they're working with...
They also must be having fun to work with the wildlife.
And they're actually working with the data set of these baboons. So she's one of my friends. She's actually an engineer, and she works with this data sets, movement ecology of baboons.
Wow.
And she's coming up with algorithms for that. But you also need to have some understanding of the behavior of the species. So, just basic reading up should be fine. Reading up on the species, on the behavior or whatever. And then coming up with algorithms, so that would be good. And then there are different ways of using technologies like acoustic. So these days, a lot of researchers and scientists in India, they're using bioacoustic monitoring for conservation. You're trying to capture all the sounds from the forest, from the birds, from insects and everything, and then try to see where the sound is more or where the sound is less, and you can actually get the diversity index from that region based on that, and
also population number.
Yeah,
okay.
probably. So if you can get it to that minute detail of the frequency, probably you can do population estimation. Probably. I'm not very sure of this. But so a lot of technology can be used. But again, it should be... getting permits to do all of that is also quite challenging, to a certain extent. But in India, I think the challenge would be if you want to do something with like invasive, if you want to capture the individual, collect blood, that is more challenging. You don't get normally permits for that. But yeah, answering your question, yeah, technology can definitely be used. A lot of technology, and I think we need to work together more and more. Because I do not have a lot of idea also about what can be done, and we need to just sit and work together because we have these data sets, and we don't know what to do sometimes with it, like how to analyze it, or so then we can get advice from.
So another solution for human animal conflict thing is educating people.
Right. Yeah.
That's a very challenging task. So have you tried to educate people on this? Like, what are your initiatives?
Yeah. So when I was working in Tenmala, we had this awareness campaign for local people, because people would constantly they were so intolerant about these primates, or so they would come up to us and like, please do something about these primates, take them elsewhere, ask the forest department to just translocate them. So then we had a whole kind of a workshop for them, where we had resource persons come and talk and explain to them in local language, and try to explain to them why we need primates, why they're important, and how we should build some form of tolerance. So in India, I think the problem is we have to also build that tolerance a little bit. So their attitudes should also change. And that attitudes and perceptions we can change by involving them in these kind of awareness campaigns. You can even be very creative about it. Like, so I think one of my friends, she uses a theater-based art to like showcase how primates live in the forest. So she acts like a primate.
Okay.
And then she shows them to the people how and why their lives are important. In the view of the life of the
very
primate.
creative.
Yeah. So you can use all kinds of creative work and come up with different ways to convince people and make them understand. Just
this
so
is
that
a big job, right? There's a big part of
it's
this.
a big job. Yeah.